Hi, Amy. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Thank you. It's good to meet you too.
You are from United Kingdom, and can you share more how you were diagnosed, about the symptoms, and when was it?
Yeah, of course. So it was 2022, and it was following, now looking back, a series of quite obvious relapses that I didn't know at the time were relapses. So in 2020, the November, I experienced numbness and tingling in my right hand, that was diagnosed as carpal tunnel at the time. And I went in to have surgery on the carpal tunnel, and it was when the surgeon was doing a series of tests before the operation. He had this instrument that was blunt one side and sharp the other, and he asked me to look away and tell him what side he was pressing down on my skin, sharp or blunt. And I was answering, and he's like, "You're not typical carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel isn't really your demographic. It's normally in older patients. I can do the operation, but I'm really not sure this is carpal tunnel." And I was so determined. I was working throughout the pandemic, so I was, please, just do the operation and I'll be fine. And you're awake when you have carpal tunnel. So I'd had a local anaesthetic, and I was laying on the table, and he said to me then, "It's not carpal tunnel. I can loosen this nerve a little bit, but that's not the cause of your symptoms." Um, and he asked me afterwards, which was the first time anyone had asked, "Has anybody in your family got multiple sclerosis?" Which planted that seed of, what is this? And no one in my family does. So I went away, and after 2, 3 weeks recovering after the operation, my symptoms went. And then in the February the following year, I had a batch of really bad vertigo. And they thought it was something called BPV, which is where some debris can become loose in your ear and cause dizziness. So I went for a series of tests again, sort of throwing my head around all over the place, and gave me a course of medication and said, you should take these tablets and you should get better. They weren't steroids. And then, like, again, 3 weeks, it went. Okay, that was really strange. And it wasn't until then, the January the following year, I lost sight in my left eye. I remember sitting in work thinking, I can't see what is going on. My left eye, I kept shutting it, and I was thinking, and I wear contact lenses, so I was thinking my eyes are dry. I was putting loads of eye drops in, it wasn't getting better. And it was actually when I went to the opticians that they said, "We need to get you to the hospital as soon as possible." And I think, I'm not sure what healthcare is like in America, but when you get seen quickly in the UK, you know there's probably a problem, because waiting lists are really long. And I hadn't even made it home. My car journey home, half an hour. And they said, "We need you to get into the hospital now." Um, and that's sort of when that my diagnosis started. It was from there that I went for a series of MRIs, and it was, yeah, they sat me down after an MRI. It was on Valentine's Day, and said, "We've seen a number of lesions, think it's possibly multiple sclerosis." And I'd been preparing myself for it because I'd been looking into optic neuritis, and optic neuritis is so commonly one of the identifying symptoms for MS. Um, but I'd got in my head, "Oh, if this is MS, this is going to be the worst." I didn't know how I was going to carry on. I was absolutely petrified. And I remember I could see, as he was reading on the screen, that there were these words, one starting with an M and one starting with an S. And I was squinting, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, he's going to tell me that's, I can see what he's about to read me." Um, and yeah, it's just, you just feel like your whole life's never going to be the same.
Yes. Yes. When you shared the story about the doctor, I kept thinking that that was God sent, that he didn't do the operation and he kind of sent you to a journey to discover that you have MS. And
Mm.
I guess Valentine's Day is never gonna be the same for you, or at least for a few years.
It's, well, how I contextualize it now. And on a side note, you might not want to include this, but I've come up with an idea of my MS being called Meryl. It's a person. You can include this bit. It's how I contextualize it. For I manage a team in work, and I've got a close friend that has children, so I call my MS Meryl because it's easier for me to say Meryl's feeling a bit rubbish today than it is for me to say I'm feeling rubbish. So I've called my MS Meryl. So the 14th of February is Meryl's birthday. So every year now, I will purposely do something nice on Meryl's birthday
I
because
love
it's a
that.
birthday. And I'm fortunate enough that this was my third year just gone relapse free. So it does feel like a celebration. As it's Meryl's birthday, it's also another year that I haven't had a relapse. So that's how I contextualize that day now. As opposed to Valentine's Day, it's Meryl's birthday.
I actually hope that you're gonna turn this around and you're gonna share like a positive approach when it comes to that day and when it comes to going forward. And I know a lot of people who are actually celebrating MS anniversary, they call it, including me. I started it like 2 years ago or 3 years ago maybe, because it's like that's where my new life started. So it's kind of a birthday. I love that. So
Thank
it's
you.
kind of new for you, 2 years, no, 3 years now. You
Three
start
years.
medication right away.
So I went in and my mindset. I just want the strongest thing you can give me. I just want this gone. So I was diagnosed in the February, and in August I started Ocrevus infusions. I'm still on Ocrevus now, but the biggest game changer for me. So I can't fully say yes, that treatment is what's working for me because it was a host of other lifestyle changes that I believe why I'm still well. Matthew
Learning.
Embry, yeah, Matthew Embry being a really pivotal part of that. What I wanted to do after I was diagnosed is I wanted to find people who just was living normal lives with MS. I think when you think of MS, when you don't know anything about it, I was thinking, oh, they have to have a wheelchair and mobility aids. So I went on a hunt online. When you Google it, you see the worst case scenarios. I went on a hunt to find people who were living not just normally, not surviving, living well with MS, thriving. And there's almost like this untapped community. As soon as you start seeing these orange hearts online, you think, oh, maybe. And there is this. There's a breadth of people that share knowledge and wisdom that shouldn't be rocket science, but it's my biggest project now in life is looking after myself. So I researched what Matthew Embry was doing, watched his documentary, went to one of his talks. From there, I went dairy and gluten free. And people always say to me, "Oh, don't you miss chocolate?" No, because I don't even see it as an option. I just don't want it. So yeah, I went dairy and gluten free. I do hours of yoga, hours of Pilates, vitamin D, lion's mane. Um, I wanted to ensure you feel so out of control when you're diagnosed and so lonely that anything I could control that might work even 1%, I would try. So I started medical treatment in 2022, but I believe that that is a part of why I've managed to stay well. It's not the sole reason.
Yes, yes, I understand that completely, especially me who is not on medication.
Mm.
But yes, it just you kind of went all in, but you also changed your lifestyle, and I think that's the key. So, was it hard in the beginning to change your diet?
No, it actually wasn't because the fear of relapse, the fear of not being able to do what I want to do, being well, overrides anything, any craving, any. I didn't find it hard at all because I just saw it as a there's no other option. I'm not even entertaining another option because I am petrified of what may happen if this disease takes hold. And it's something that I think when I was diagnosed, you think, right, actually getting confirmation of you've got MS was easier than the period of waiting between the MRI and the conversation of you have got MS. That period of waiting is horrific. When you've got confirmation, you think, right, I've got it. It's not going anywhere. This is with me for life now. So what can I do about it? Meryl's here to stay. So how are we going to live harmoniously together? Because I'm not having her come in and wreck everything. So no, I didn't find it hard. I didn't find it sad. You know, sometimes my mum, because my mum's cried before and said, "Oh, it makes me upset that I can't buy you an Easter egg or some Christmas chocolates." Like, why?
That's why you're upset.
Yeah, why? So no, I didn't find it hard. The hardest thing is the emotional the emotional strain, and it would be so easy, I think, I think it's harder to stay positive than it would be to sit in the negativity. I really believe that it would be so easy to lay in bed, and there are some days where you think, I'm feeling tingly today. This is going to be Meryl's in a bad mood. Um, Maybe I didn't get enough sleep, or I'm a bit stressed. I'm much better now at recognizing, okay, if my symptoms are a little, and I live mainly symptom free. If I have anything, it will be tingles in my joints. And then I'm quite good at under identifying what's caused that now. So you sort of approach life in such a different way. If anything's a potential stressor, what am I going to put in place as a buffer, and what am I going to do for myself after to make sure that that is out of my body? It doesn't sit in my body. But there would be some days where you think, oh, it'd be so easy to lay in bed all day today. But that's just not me. That's not what I want to do. You know, MS, it's a part of me, but it absolutely cannot win and take over my life in that way. It's just not happening. And I think I have got that mentality because you're encouraged by that community online that I've seen. I trained for a half marathon last year, and every single time I went on a long run, I read a chapter of your book, highlighted the pages, because it just seeing people thrive with it, not just get by, but thrive. You think, no, I can do this. I can do this. Um, so, so yeah,
I I
long-winded
love
answer.
I love 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 that you turned fear around so quickly, and that just tells me like you it's not only your personality. Yes, that's your personality, but instead of going down on the rabbit hole and feeling sorry for yourself, you knew you can do it, and you are here. And I'm sure when you feel tired and you want to stay in bed, what do you do next? You probably go and push yourself to work out or do yoga, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah,
helps.
I absolutely do. And if I even, go on my phone, my social media feeds are full of people with MS that are doing really well. So even if you have those moments, you think, oh, I'm just going to lay here, or I'm just going to doom scroll, even that makes you feel, no, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And some days there may just be, I think it's about recognizing as well those sort of small achievements. Never before I got diagnosed would I consider getting out of bed, having a shower, doing a yoga session, brushing my teeth, making a coffee an achievement. But I think that should be an achievement for anyone,
Yeah.
because in the way life is now and the way the world is, I think that's an achievement for anyone. So just being able to sit and actually be proud of yourself as well, I think is really important, and recognize the seemingly small wins.
Yes. Can you share us how do you keep your social media feed positive? Because there are a lot of people with MS who are not very happy.
Yeah, of course. I'm just going to move so I can perch my camera up rather than hold it, because That definitely will make not just Meryl but Amy unhappy. Yeah, so I feel once you find a few good people, they all we all follow each other. Look at me, we all follow each other. But then the algorithm does the classic you may also like. And so it actually started, I followed Matthew Embry, and then you kind of see a few people who like and comment or say that they're doing the same. And it's like a snowball effect. But I have to say, absolutely, if I see there's a realism involved in that, yes, of course, people can share their hard days, but if there is too much of it, I will just unfollow or hide from view because I don't need it. So I let the snowball effect take over when I'm seeing people who have got the energy that I really want to tap into, that positivity, those that raw honesty that actually, yeah, sometimes this is really scary, but look at what I'm doing today. The doom and gloom, it's got to go. Anybody that's too negative, unfollow, hide. No, I can't because I think I've become so much more aware about where I spend my energy. Even that, or even the concept of diet, I think goes into everything you consume. I don't want to consume that. I don't want to give energy to that. I haven't got mental space for it. So I'll just remove it and follow more people that bring me the energy.
That takes a lot of courage to do that and a lot of willpower. And this is the pattern I've been seeing with people who are doing great with MS. They have this courage, they have this willpower. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. That's really kind.
Thank you. So, what would your advice be to somebody newly diagnosed?
I'd say it doesn't have to be as lonely as how you feel at the minute, even though you're surrounded by people. By God, you can feel so lonely. So I'd say it's not as lonely, and make conscious effort to go and find people who are living with MS that you look up to, that you want to be like, that you take inspiration from, and see what they're doing. Be curious, follow what they're doing, and remember that we're humans. We weren't born to be spending our lives in offices, on screens, without any sunlight. Strip it right back. Go back to the norm. I don't know if I would say to somebody, go dairy and gluten free. It's worked for me, and I know it's worked for a lot of other people. But I would say, dip your toe in some positive research, some people that are doing really well with it. Some days when I'm having really good days, I could say MS is the best thing that's ever happened to me because I don't think I would look after myself as well as I do now if I wasn't diagnosed. It can actually be a gift to not take your health for granted, and through that, do everything you can do to stay well. If someone would have told me that I would be doing my second half marathon next week, I'd be like, I don't run, I can't even do couch to 5K. But you find this determination from somewhere because it's either you run with it and you learn how to live with it and you take it in your stride and you learn, or you're beaten by it. And I think your state of mind is everything. Of course, you're allowed negative days, but I really think the body responds to that. I really do. I think the more positive you can be, the more open, the more curious, your body will support you in that. I've read loads of work from sort of like Gabor Mate, and I really do think the body and the mind's connected. So I'd say slow down, be curious, and don't feel as lonely as you think you are, because you're not.
Beautifully
My
said. I love that.
my favourite saying, and I don't know if it is actually mine, but I'm going to claim it as mine because I don't think anyone's ever said this to me. I just made it up. I always say you get two types of people in life. You get radiators or drains, and you only want to be around radiators. You don't have the energy to be around drains. You can't spend your energy there. You've got to spend your energy on keeping yourself well. You can't be spending it on being around drains. So I do live by that. Radiators or drains. So if you use that anyway, can you make sure I'm quoted, please? Because I think that is mine.
First of all, I listen to so many books that I can even count, and I never heard that phrase or anybody saying
Incredible.
that. So you
It
can
is
definitely
mine.
claim that. And you have so much wisdom. I have no idea how young you are, but you look very young. So just having all this wisdom, it's just remarkable. So you are
Mm,
definitely gifted.
thank
And
you.
I don't think MS came to your life by accident. It was something that you have to, people are gonna look up to you already. I
Oh, thank you so much.
like
No, I'm
less than 2 years, you are in a mindset where it took me six, not six, but 4 or 5 years to get. So congratulations.
really. I just, yeah, I think it's fueled by fear. You know that if I don't do something now, and grasping onto what you can control, and actually, there's so much more within your control than what you think. Um, how much sunlight I'm getting, what vitamins I'm on, what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what I'm doing for work, who I'm around, who my friends are. There's so much more you can do that's tied. I think everything is tied into your health. So much more than perhaps if you live a life of going your years and not experiencing illness of any kind. And perhaps don't pay attention to how important what's surrounding you and what you're consuming is. But when you're put in that situation, you've got no choice in a way. Um, yeah, what I did was I wrote I don't know what I'm doing with any. You might be able to give me some advice because I have no idea what I'm doing with any of these. But I actually, my best friend has a little boy called Henry, and when we were trying to explain to Henry what was happening with me, I wrote a book, and I got my friend to do some pictures, and it was all around Meryl, and how Amy lives with Meryl. But if Amy's feeling a bit stressed or tired, Meryl plays instruments in Amy's body that makes her feel a bit fuzzy, and so he could understand it as this sort of like fuzzy creature that lives alongside Amy. And I would love to one day make that into an actual children's book because I think it would be really nice for mums to be able to. It worked with Henry to be able to explain to children what MS is or how it makes mummy feel. But
I
yes, and
would,
maybe.
I would love to read it. So if you want to send it to me, I would love to read it, and I can probably help you publish it on Amazon because we
Oh,
still
well, that
published
would
the
be
book.
amazing. Because I've got no idea what I'm doing with anything like that. It's at the minute it's just like rough sketches and a little bit, but it worked with Henry. So I've done what do you call it, like a focus group or a target audience.
That's
But
how
I'll send it
amazing,
to you.
that's how amazing projects born, just like that.
Mm. Yeah, I think the conceptualizing of Merrill actually really helped. And I think it helps other people as well because there is a bit of an awkward. I think people feel a sense of responsibility when they can tell you're not feeling 100% to go to talk about your MS, you know? Whereas actually, I think it's more palatable for people to go, how's Meryl today? Is she in a bit of a bad mood? Yeah, she kept me up all night last night. Oh, bloody hell, Meryl. And I think it helps that conversation so much more. Um, I say to my boyfriend, there are three of us in this relationship. Four now because we've got a puppy, but three with Meryl. I think it just, yeah, it helps. But if you would have any advice, I'd be so grateful for because that's something. Your goals change, don't they, when you're diagnosed with something like this? What you want to do in your life.
Your
Um,
entire life changes.
mm, everything's framed so differently. You really learn to live in the moment and try and get the best out of everything, and especially your shopping list changes. Oh my goodness me.
Yes, for sure. Buying clothes is not a priority anymore when you have to spend a lot of money on protein powders.
Exactly, I know.
Do you feel like your relationships changed?
Yeah, yeah. Um, you, definitely. You become a lot more tapped into who makes you feel good and who has your best interests. But also, I think before I was diagnosed, I was always the one at a party that was. I'm still, that is my personality to an extent, but the loudest in the room, who drunk the most. I was really, I suppose looking back now, trying to suppress something. I think like everyone when they're a young, like 20 something year old, acts recklessly, but I thought I was horrific, I was really, and I think you lose friends when you behave in a certain way anyway, when you're drinking all the time and you're reckless and you're loud. But also when you get something like this, you start to, you're only around those people that are actually really good for you. So I would say, I think it's normal throughout life to lose certain friendships and things anyway. But there's a lot less noise. The relationships I have now, there's a lot less noise. There's just peace rather than, rah, let's order another Jaeger bomb, it's, it's more peaceful. And also, there was a lot of, well, I say a lot, there was a few people who couldn't handle it. I had people who I loved so much say, can't do it. The ambiguity of what might happen to you is too much. I've got to step away. I don't know how to I don't know how to be around somebody who's chronically ill. And at the time that really hurts because you think, oh my God, but this isn't me. That but actually now, looking back, to have the balls to say that to someone, I think is quite courageous and very self-aware. But it doesn't change that. My God, it hurts because you're pining after somebody that you love so much, and so relationships
I have a feeling
ultimately.
that those people want to be around you now for sure.
I don't know. I think you become
But
more.
you probably don't need them in your life anyway, so things happen
I've
for a
flourished too
reason.
much now. um, no, I think I'm happy with a smaller circle with less noise, less Jaeger bombs. But there is a bit of regret there because you think, God, but I don't think I was as aware before I was ill, so I probably treated people quite badly.
Yes, I look at it like I had my life before MS and it was amazing and I enjoyed every second. And now I have a life. And finally, when I was able to settle down and move on and enjoy, now I am actually liking this life.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a different. You're not in the fast lane anymore, but that's okay. Um, you don't have to drive at or just over the speed limit all the time because it burns you out. Um, mm,
Did you meet your boyfriend recently or before MS?
After I was diagnosed, and interestingly, oh my God, dating with MS is horrific. Oh my God. You say to somebody, like, when do you even bring it up, firstly? Is it when the amount of times I'd be on a date and you're like, oh, I can't have dairy or gluten, or they just think you've got gastro problems. So you'd rather say, oh, no, no, there's nothing wrong with my stomach. I'm actually just chronically ill. Um, um, Boyfriend was one of the first people where we were talking and he asked, oh, why didn't your last relationship work? And I said, oh, well, the catalyst was that I was diagnosed with MS, um, and he couldn't handle it. Um, didn't know what to do, really threw us off. And it was in amongst other things as well, but that was the main catalyst. And he was like, oh, well, MS isn't even really a big deal, is it? And at the time, I was a bit offended. I thought, actually, my life is governed by MS, actually. And I was like, well, and he was like, my mum's got MS. And I was like, oh my God, really? Yeah, yeah. She walks with a crutch, but she's not been on any treatment, and she's had it for over 20 years, and she's okay. And I was like, and
God
I
sent another one.
I couldn't stop
The
crying. I was like,
universe is
oh,
really there to support you, and because your personality, you are bringing the not only the positive people, but the positive
oh,
energies and everything around you. I love it.
thank you. It was really because when you're first diagnosed, you think what you'll hear is, oh, my auntie's grandmother had MS. Yeah, she died. Brilliant. Or you'll hear, oh, I know somebody that had that, or they really weren't very well. They were in a, it's always like somebody twice removed, like you don't typically know anyone else that's had it, or lives with it. So yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. And now, yeah, him and me and his mum get on really, really well. Funnily enough, we don't just talk about MS, but I feel like we've got this unspoken bond where we know. Um, and she's very similar to me, sort of grab life by the horns and do everything you can whilst you can.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't think so. I think it's just the online community, I think, yeah, quite literally saved my life. Um, I was I was certain if I get this diagnosis, that's it. There is no point in living. And actually, it's been the complete opposite. I enjoy and definitely appreciate life more, but by God, I look after myself so well. I'm like my own best project. I still love a tequila on the weekend, but it's got to be tequila, it's got to be clean. So, just, I would just say get some vitamin D, get some tequila, and know that it's not as lonely and as awful as it seems right now because you've still got control.
Yes, for sure. If that helps, anything that helps, especially in the first few weeks, it's very important. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so, so much. It was amazing to meet you. And thank you for your book as well. Honestly, my mum's read it now, and it's just even the way it's written. Oh, it's brilliant. So thank you for compiling all those stories and meeting with me. I feel really lucky.
The way it was written, that's thanks to Paige, our editor. She's brilliant. So thank you.
So thank you.